here today to make French-style creamed eggs. It's a recipe I adapted from watching a YouTube video of a French chef from Cordon Bleu make something a lot fancier than this, but it's really delicious. And I like it much better than scrambled eggs because scrambled eggs frequently have a texture makes me gag. So, French-style creamed eggs. What we need is eggs, butter, cheese, and a little bit of milk. It's really simple, and it's stuff you normally have around. For cheese, I have a little Parmesan because I had that, and some mozzarella, but you could use any kind of cheese that you had that you think would go well with eggs, such as cheddar or Monterey Jack or any kind of like taco cheese or anything like that would work really well. And we're gonna get started by whipping up these eggs. We want to put our milk in with the eggs. We're going to whisk that until it's homogeneous and liquidy. It'll help the eggs not get little stringy gross bits when you cook it. Alright, there we go. Nice and liquidy and homogeneous. Now we're going to switch to the stove top because we're going to start cooking the eggs. But first, we're going to put our toast in because we want our toast to be ready when our eggs are done. And since the eggs are hot, it doesn't matter over much if the toast is hot. But we're just going to let it go. We're going to switch. Okay, we're going to start the stovetop on pretty low, I would say. And I have mine set on like 3, but that's obviously going to vary. You don't want your eggs to cook quickly. The ideal way for this to work is for it to take kind of a decent amount of time. The slower you go, the better it is. This is slightly more butter than is strictly necessary. Okay. You want enough to coat your pan, but not enough that you're gonna sort of put too much butter in this. Maybe a teaspoon is probably pretty good for 2 eggs. This is a really easy recipe to scale up. So I'm just gonna let this heat up. You don't want it to bubble, you don't want it to brown. Just really low and slow. What the chef in the video said was you don't want your eggs to talk to you. So you don't want it to make any noise while it's cooking. Because if that happens, then you're definitely got your stovetop on too hot. You can see the flame is really low. Obviously, how hot that's going to be is going to vary on your stove, and if you have an electric, it's a whole other ball game. If you have a induction cooktop and you can set the temperature, I would say 200 degrees maybe. But that's just guessing. Okay. We're pretty melty. I think I'm going to put a little more butter in there. I want to make sure it kind of covers the bottom. I'm using a European style butter because it has higher fat content and lower solids, so it tends to burn less, but you can use whatever butter you've got. I find European butter is really good for cooking stuff in because it doesn't burn as easily. But yeah, see the butter's starting to bubble a little, so it's time to put in our eggs that we whipped up earlier. Alright, just pour those in. You see it didn't make any sound? That's what you want. You do not want it to hiss. If it does, that's fine, but you need to turn it down right away and stir it around really quick. We're going to stir it until it starts being, the butter really mixes into the eggs and starts to sort of thicken, and then we're going to add the cheese. Stir in my eggs, stir in my eggs. It really helps to prepare everything ahead of time because you have to kind of move quickly once it starts to cook. I'm going to turn this up a little bit because we're going to be here all day. It's a balancing act. You'll get the hang of it after a few times. The worst that'll happen is, you know, it'll be a little bit more like scrambled eggs instead of fancy creamed eggs. But, you know, that's not the end of the world. It's good to try stuff, and, you know, if you screw it up, you can make it again. Eggs aren't super expensive. You gotta make sure that you keep stirring the whole time. Turn it down a little bit because it's sticking a little to the bottom in a way I don't want it to. You want to make sure that you're scraping the whole bottom and you're getting all the bits. If it starts to really kind of stick, then you know you've got it a little too high and you can turn it down a tiny bit and slow it down. It takes like 10 minutes. I'm not gonna lie, it takes a little time, but it's worth it. Raw sauce. Yeah, so yeah, it's thickened and cooking good, so we're gonna add the cheese now. Get in there, cheese. And we're gonna keep cooking this until all the cheese is really nice and melted and we have a thick pudding consistency and all of the egg is cooked through because obviously we don't really want to eat raw egg. If you are watching, oh my god, is that eggshell? It is! Oh my gosh. Okay. That's how we do in this house. You can see how it's really starting to come together and appear cooked. You could eat it at this point, but I like it a little less liquidy than this. Kind of depends on what you were doing with it. So that's our toast. We're going to put this on when we're ready, which we are getting very close to. This cheese on. All right, we're done. So we want to take it off the heat and we're gonna pour it over our toast. The one bad thing is the pan is terrible to clean. You will be scraping at this. You will be scrubbing it. There's not much you could do, but it's worth it. I guess you use a nonstick pan, but it's not my jam. All right, here we have it. French creamed eggs.